Back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about overview of RAP. Okay, so I'm just going to use SAP's PPT content for this video. Very beautiful content they have created, which is already present in their website. I will add that link in the description so that you can have it handy. Okay, so this is going to be a little theoretical part, but I'm pretty sure most of the concepts you might not aware of it. You will get to know in this video. So I would like to first start with the ABAP Cloud, then we'll move into the introduction of the RAP, and we will see a lot of concepts in the RAP side, right? So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so before that, can I ask you something? What is ABAP Cloud? What is RAP? Is it both the same or it's different concepts? Okay, so many people think that ABAP Cloud equal to RAP, but which is not completely true. Okay, ABAP Cloud is more than a RAP. Okay, so ABAP Cloud is like a development model to build the cloud-ready business applications, services, or extensions. So you could see there is something called cloud-ready business application. So what is this cloud-ready means? Okay, so for most of the time we would be working with on-premise systems, right? So we develop applications, we do enhancements in the on-premise systems, right? So now what is the problem with that, right? So it will not work for a cloud infrastructure. Okay, as you know that everyone is moving to the cloud. All the business applications, right, should be run in the cloud environment. But we have to first ask ourselves, whatever we are doing in the on-premise system, will it work in the cloud as well? Right, we will have to make sure whatever we are creating new applications in our either in on-premise systems, right, or in a private cloud edition systems or anything anywhere, we have to first make sure whether that will run in the cloud environment or not. Okay, it should be anytime this could be moved to the cloud environment, it should run without any issue. So that is what the first thing we need to keep in mind. Okay, so the ABAP Cloud by default it supports the cloud readiness. Okay, so if you create a new applications in the ABAP Cloud system, which gives you a guarantee that it could run in the cloud environment. Okay, so there are three things here: cloud ready business applications, services, and extensions. Okay, so it's very simple. If you are creating a UI applications or something, so which is basically an application, right? And services means it's basically any kind of a if you use, like, if you create a like data service, or if you create any REST service or HTTP or any kind of services, if you create it, so that can be consumed in different third-party systems. That's what it is. Services. This application means user will be using this business application. Services means some other systems, third-party system will consume our data, and it can have the own logic, right? So that is what we will be creating services. Extension means our core business logic, right? SAP's core business logic, if you're enhancing it or maybe extending to our custom logic, basically a customization, that is, we call it as a extensions, right? So ABAP Cloud will be supporting this three options. Okay, and complaint with clean core principles. So the very important thing is a clean core. Okay, you should always you should not always touch the core business logic. Okay, that's the rule number one. So even though, okay, in if you talk about like S/4HANA cloud systems, right? So most of the we won't be able to touch the core business process. For example, public cloud, in the public cloud, we cannot able to touch the core process at all, right? So likewise, even in the on-premise or private cloud system, if you are able to touch the clean core, okay, we should not modify or anything in the core business processes. We always think about extending that. Okay, so this is the number one rule. If the ABAP Cloud is supported in a particular system, then it by default it's compliant with the clean core principle. You cannot touch the core at all, right? Then it comes with SAP BTP and S/4HANA systems, right? So initially this ABAP Cloud has been introduced in the BTP ABAP environment, and later it has been introduced in the S/4HANA system side. So so we will talk about this little deeply in the further slides, but yeah, it's for now this is supported in BTP ABAP environment and S/4HANA system this way. Okay, it works with public or private and even on-premise. So the best part is it's still ABAP Cloud is supported in the on-premise system. Okay, so if you have a S/4HANA on-premise system about 2022 version, then ABAP Cloud is supported that. Okay, so which means whatever you are creating an application or services or anything, you should follow the you should follow the ABAP Cloud development model instead of a classical development model. Okay, so yeah, so don't get confused. ABAP Cloud is not equal to RAP. Okay, so the RAP is a different. It's a framework which helps you to create a transactional applications, right? But ABAP Cloud is more than that. Okay, we could able to create a cloud ready business application services extensions. By default, it's suppose clean core principles, right? So there are a lot of other other things also present in the ABAP Cloud, which we'll see in the later slides. But yeah, the summary is ABAP Cloud is not equal to RAP. Okay, of course the RAP is used in the ABAP Cloud as a development framework, but it's both are different concepts. Okay. So how this evolution happened, right? ABAP Cloud evolution happened. Okay, so we will have to go back to the 10 or 12 years back. Okay, so in 2012, before 2012, we were using this ABAP objects, right? ABAP unit or maybe internal tables with a header line, right? These are the syntax we would be using it, which is perfect for the GUI applications. Correct. Once in 2012, they introduced the ADT, which is ABAP Development Tools for Eclipse. Okay, so the thing is getting changed afterwards. Okay, so we were doing our developments before that in the GUI only. So once ADT comes, we started doing developments in the new ID, that is in the Eclipse. Okay, using the ADT tool, right? Then in 2015, they have introduced the S4 HANA system, which is basically successor of ECC system, right? So still in this S4 HANA system, the ABAP is the default programming languages. Okay, it's supposed it improved with SAP HANA, SAP Fiori, and it supports the cloud development model and key user extensibility. So key user extensibility means it's basically a no code low code tool where key user can make the changes by themselves. For example, if functional people would like to add a new column to a data model or existing data model, standard data model, then they can simply use the key user extensibility. They can just add a new column, right? In the pure UI side. Okay, in the Fury, from the Fury launchpad they can do it. There are additional support, additional things will be there in the key user extensibility, but mostly this is a no code low code tool which is not for our developers. Okay, then in 2018, where there is an big thing happened, which is basically they introduced the ABAP environment in the BTP. BTP is basically a cloud platform. Okay, earlier they call it as a cloud, I think cloud platform something. I don't remember the previous name of that, but they changed it to the BTP. So they introduced the ABAP environment. That's a beautiful thing because you can write the ABAP logic in the cloud environment. Okay, by default this is why the ABAP Cloud introduced. Okay, so why do we need this? So earlier version, okay, around this 2018 or 2020, we were able to do the extension, right? ABAP extension on the BTP side only. Okay, which means we do have a cap for that earlier, which is quite popular than ABAP environment. So it just helps you to create extensibility of the application. So they call it as a clean core. They separated the core process in a S4 HANA system, for example, and they develop application in the BTP environment. Okay, so which means like you are not touching their core logic, you are not modifying their core logic, which follows the clean core principles. That is what they are calling like cloud ready ABAP extensions on SAP BTP. And the main thing is like they introduced the ABAP RESTful application programming model here. Okay, so we were able to create a transactional application easily with this framework, right? Afterwards what happened to the RAP till now, right? So yeah, ABAP Cloud started supporting in this as introduced in this SAP BTP ABAP environment at 2018, and after exactly like 4 years, they just started introducing this ABAP Cloud concepts in the S4 HANA Cloud ABAP environment. Okay, so this is a really game changer innovations, I would say, because earlier we were doing our extension on the BTP side, okay, which is like two separate systems. For example, S4 HANA on-premise is running in a different environment, and BTP is a different environment. We take the data and we do the extension in the BTP environment. That's what they call it as a clean core. But once they took this ABAP cloud concepts and they deploy into this S4 HANA cloud systems, so by default it started supporting extension within the systems. So that is why the developer extensibility evolves, and then this advantages is it's more than what we thought. Okay, because if you want to enhance something or if you want to add a custom logic, we can easily do it within the particular system. Okay, but by the way, but still it follows the clean core principles. It doesn't allow us to touch the core business process at all. Okay. So the main so here the wrap has been introduced, but using the wrap, we were able to do the extension developer extensions within the S/4HANA cloud or on-premise systems, right? So there are two things I want to summarize here. One is in 2018, wrap has been introduced, right, and which is a by default model for the ABAP Cloud. Okay, then this ABAP Cloud has been introduced in the S/4HANA Cloud ABAP environment. There with that, using the wrap, we were able to do the extensibility very easily, right, within the system. We don't need to fetch the data and do the extension in the SAP BTP environment, but it depends on the use case. We will be doing it, right? Okay, so these are the two things I want to highlight it. This is very, very, very important. Okay. So basically what's in the ABAP Cloud? Okay, this is just an overview. Okay, there are two main things. One is development model. Okay, what are the development use cases we were having in the ABAP Cloud? Okay, if you think about creating an applications, most of the applications will fall under this three categories. You would be creating transactional applications. Mostly we will be creating the transactional applications, or you will be creating analytical applications, or integrations applications. This is quite getting popular nowadays because you are integrating multiple systems in the S/4HANA ecosystems, right? So now we are not, earlier we were doing, like for example in ECC system, we would be doing all the developments in the ECC systems, right? Very rare we will be exposing to the other systems, right? Or exposing the data to the other systems, right? But nowadays I could see we are performing, we are connecting multiple systems for our developments, right? So for example, like if I'm on the S/4HANA on-premise systems, right, and I want to create a very good applications in application in the BTP ABAP environment side, right? So I could expose this data, okay, from the S/4HANA on-premise system then to the SAP BTP system. So with that data, I can able to create a nice applications in the SAP BTP environment. Even if I want to add a AI capability, I can do it easily in the SAP BTP ABAP systems, right? So but these are three development scenarios we will be using it. Mainly this transactional application we will be using wrap, but there is no other options. Okay, in ABAP Cloud, if you are creating a transactional application, definitely you have to use the wrap. Wrap is the way to go. Okay, then ABAP in ABAP Cloud also contains a lot of tools and lifecycle managements. We will see it a little bit deeply. What are those, right? Yeah. So let's come from here. Okay. What is the database? Even though we have ABAP Cloud and all these things, right? So the database by default is a constant. It's SAP HANA only. Okay. So I'm not sure. Like it's by default they keep this HANA database as a constant for a ABAP environment. But whereas in the case of CAP is you will have a free hand. You can use the HANA Cloud database or other database also, like PostgreSQL and all. You can still use it with the CAP framework. But for this ABAP Cloud, they just kept this as a constant. HANA is a constant. You cannot use any other database at all, right? And business service consumption. Okay, so what is this business service consumption? Basically, if you want to consume some data from the different system, for example, I'm the S/4HANA system, let's say S/4HANA public cloud system or something I'm using. I want some data from the EC system, or maybe probably like from the S/4HANA on-premise system. Okay, then how do I get the data, right? So by default, ABAP Cloud supports this consumption. Okay, you can create a OData service or a HTTP service, SOAP service, or RFC SQL, any kind of a protocol. You can use it in the target system, right? So you can expose the data, and this data can be consumed in your S/4HANA cloud system. That's a source system, right, where you want all the data. So you can easily consume it. So by default, this ABAP Cloud supports this business service consumption model. Okay. And this is very helpful for the integration services because you are integrating two systems here. Okay. And domain specific implementations. Basically, this has two things. Okay. First, you need to define a model, domain specific models, and domain specific logic. Okay. For domain specific models, what are the things we will be using? We are using a CDS. For wrap, CDS is the backbone. Without CDS, we cannot create a wrap applications, right? And wrap BOs. So we would be defining our real use case with the wrap business objects, right? Everything is a business objects in wrap, right? And CDS analytical provider. You can create an analytical provider query with the CDS views. Okay. And domain specific logic. There are two things only. You can write your logic in CDS and you can write a logic in ABAP. There are two two specific logics is still supported here. Okay, these are the two domain specific models and logics. We can do our domain specific implementation. We can write our core business process logic with this two things. Okay, domain specific models and logics, right? Then business service exposure. What we have seen it business service consumption, but here we will be seeing this business service exposure. Exposure means you are exposing some data from the current system. What is our current system? Let's for example, like if I'm using a SAP, let's say S4HANA on-premise system. Okay, I want to expose data to some other third-party system. Okay, or I'm exposing some data for a UI applications. Okay, then I need to expose those data in two ways. One is if it's a UI application, I can create a UI services. Okay, for example, SAP Fiori or analytical clients, we would be using a protocol called OData. We can use the OData for UI services, which can be consumed in Fiori applications, or you can use something called INA, which means information access. It's a one kind of a protocol which you can create it. Mostly this is for an analytical purpose. You create a CDS view, you expose it to a information access protocol, like how we do with OData. In service binding we will be doing it, right? Same thing if you're doing with this information access, then it will be exposed to the analytical applications. Okay, it can be consumed in any analytical clients. Okay, for example, SEC, right? And the other thing with the business exposure, you can create a integration services. For example, you can create a OData web APIs or business events, okay, or HTTP services, so RFC, SQL, any kind of services you can create it, and it can be exposed to the different systems, right? So these are the building blocks or maybe the concepts in the ABAP Cloud, development sides. Other than that, for development, we will having other things also supported in the ABAP Cloud. For example, reuse services and libraries. Okay, so we could see the Exco library. We talk about more the Exco library. I have a dedicated playlist for that. I would recommend to watch those. So if you're in the S4HANA cloud systems or BTP ABAP environment, you will get all the utility functions or utility classes in the Exco library. You will have all the things in the Exco. Okay, you can try to find out in this library here. Okay, and application jobs. See, application jobs is similar to what we have in the on-premise systems. Okay, you can schedule a job scheduling, everything will be supported. We have a dedicated application jobs, UI applications, UI application in the launchpad. So we can simply set up our logs very easily. We have a lot of features which is not present in the on-premise systems, which is really helpful in the ABAP Cloud systems. Okay. And then what are the built-in categories here, right? So the built-in categories, first thing is cloud readiness. We know that it's a whatever we create, it's a cloud ready applications. Then IAM, which is basically identity and access management. Okay, which is for mostly we create few objects in the IAM, but most of the thing configurations will be done in the Fiori Launchpad side by the security team. Where this contains all these authorizations and authentications, all this process will come here. Okay, and BC is basically business configurations. So how we create a SF30, right? So the SF30 is not supported in our ABAP Cloud. So instead you have to use the business configurations. Okay, we can create a configuration table and expose as a UI application. So we can maintain our config data there. Okay, and extensibility, we know that ABAP Cloud default supports the extensibility, developer extensibility, and key user extensibilities. We will talk about extensibility little deeply. This is a huge topic. Okay, and security by default it supports the securities. Okay, and lifecycle management. Okay, how your applications will be deployed to the production. Okay, so one thing is Git based transport management with the GCTS. So GCTS is what preferable if you are within the system landscape. For example, from development to test system to production systems, mostly you will be using GCTS based transport management. There is a dedicated application is available in S4HANA cloud systems. Okay, so which basically works with the Git. Okay, earlier in on-premise systems and all, we just simply use the transport management. We move the transport to the test system and production systems, right? But now they enabled this with the Git-based transport management. Okay, ABAP Kit. Okay, so ABAP Kit is simply you are uploading your source code to the Git repository as a Git repository, and from that you will be pulling to your target systems wherever you want. Okay, so we don't use this much for our system landscape. So where it will be helpful is, let's say if you created some new application in the on-premise systems and you want to move it to the BTP ABAP environment or maybe S4HANA cloud systems, right? Totally a different system, right? So that is where the ABAP Kit will be very, very helpful. Okay, so I have a dedicated video for this ABAP Kit as well. If you want to, you can watch those video. Okay, and tools here, we are using a lot of tools like ADT, ABAP development tools, and BAS, business application studio for UI development, right? And the key user and monitoring tools also will be supported in the ABAP Cloud. So these are the concepts available in the ABAP Cloud. ABAP Cloud IDE and API example for non-stack developer extensibility. Basically, on-stack developer extensibility is nothing but it's just a within the system developer extensibility. Okay, so how does it look like? Okay, basically, let's say for example, what is supported, what is not supported. Okay, if you have if you're in the ABAP Cloud system, so by default it doesn't support the function model call. It doesn't support the function model at all, and also it doesn't support the calling the database table or selecting from the database table directly. Okay, so these are the things, like what other things is, like for example, whatever that is related to the GUI development, right? So if you're calling a screen, all right, or if you're calling a report, submit report, so this kind of a thing will not be supported in the ABAP Cloud environment or ABAP Cloud concepts at all. Okay, so what is alternative? You have to use the public API. There is something called local API from S/4HANA. Okay, so what is local API means? It's basically locally released APIs, okay, which can be used in the local developments in the within the system. Okay, so for example, instead of Mora, you can use I_product, which is released API. You can use it. Then this syntax error won't come. Okay, so the main thing is access to public SAP APIs only. Otherwise, syntax error. No access to the old Dinpro APIs. No direct select on SAP table Mora. For example, any database tables, not only Mora, you cannot select data from that. Perfect. So this you might have already developing something in the Eclipse, so I don't need to explain much. These are the syntax error you would able to see, and a lot of options. For example, if you have a runtime error, if you want to say, you can use the feed reader, right? And if you're creating some console class, or if you want to see the data, you can use the console option here, right? If you want to see the properties of the particular class, or or any other objects, you can use the properties. So there are a lot more options are available in IDE. Okay. Okay, so what is this ABAP Cloud, and what are the systems that is already present, or they have been using it in the which systems, right? So as earlier mentioned, it is supported in both S/4HANA and SAP BTP system. So first thing, SAP BTP ABAP environment where the ABAP Cloud introduced, and by default it's started supporting that. Still it's supporting ABAP Cloud, and in additionally, it is started supporting Cloud Public Edition after I think. October 2022, right? So this cloud public editions where the ABAP Cloud started supporting, then slowly it moved to the private editions. Okay, then in 2023 version, 2022 or 2023, S/4HANA on-premise systems where this ABAP Cloud started supporting. So many developers might have a confusion. Okay, so for example, if clients ask you like from which system the RAP is supported, whether we have a S/4HANA on-premise version, whether this version has RAP supported or not. Okay, so you could identify easily with, first you need to check whether the ABAP Cloud is supported in the particular system or not. Okay, if the ABAP Cloud is supported, then by default the RAP is supported there, because RAP is the default development model for the creating the transactional application, right? So so we can easily identify if it is supported in ABAP Cloud, then definitely the RAP is present there. Okay, and one more thing, many people get confused this on-premise versus private cloud editions. Okay, most people haven't seen this private cloud edition and all. Okay, so I can just tell you a quick comparison between this two and also this two. Okay, so technically these two things are quite similar. Here you can able to have access the GUI based development. You can do the classical development and all, right? Likewise, in the private edition, you're still able to do the classical ABAP development. It's still supported. Okay, even though it supports a classical ABAP development, I would not recommend to do, even SAP is not highly recommend to do the classical ABAP development as a new objects. Okay, so you will have to do the new way of ABAP Cloud development model, even in this case, if it is supported in the on-premise system and your private editions. Okay, you have to strictly follow it. Okay, that only it will be a really cloud ready application you can able to create, and you by default you will be following the clean code principles, right? So that's very important. Okay, so the private edition is also like similar to the on-premise only. You can able to access all the GUI and everything. I'm not sure if there are any specific restrictions or those are worked on it. Please let me know in the comments. But S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition and SAP BTP ABAP environment is quite similar. What is the difference is, in SAP BTP ABAP environment, you won't have the core tables or core business processes at all. Okay, but in S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition, which has all the core business process, which means you don't have a aggregate table in BTP ABAP or any other tables available in the BTP ABAP environment. Okay, any other functional tables would be available here, but here it contains all the functional business process presence in the Cloud public editions, right? So that's a difference. And what are similarities is both won't able to access the GUI. Okay, it won't have a GUI at all. Okay, completely replaced with Eclipse based development. Okay, you will have only the Eclipse IDE, which where you can develop the applications. You won't have the GUI at all. Okay, in the public cloud and BTP ABAP. But whereas here in the private edition, on-premise has still support the GUI. But even though it supports GUI, you don't go with the classical ABAP development model or any development objects, and don't develop anything in the GUI based approach. So try to solve the applications with services in mind always. Okay, try to use ABAP Cloud development model every time. Okay. Okay, perfect. So I just would like to cover up about this ABAP Cloud as a first thing. Maybe in upcoming videos we will slowly get into the wrap part. Okay, so this would give you a lot of information, I hope. So if so, please recommend this video to your colleagues and mainly like and subscribe so that I can keep adding more content similar like this. So please let me know in the comments if you need any other videos to be covered. Okay, I'll try to cover the same as well. Okay, thank you so much for watching and have a great day.